Hello everyone and welcome back to the Common Sense Crypto channel. As with you always, this is Rich doing another video today on XRP. So I hope you're all having a wonderful day today wherever you are in this great world. We're gonna talk about XRP. And I gotta start with this from Cointelegraph. Just in, Haley Welch, known as the Hawk Tuah girl, won't face charges after the SEC closed its investigation into the Hawk meme coin. Despite a 95% crash and pump and dump claims, regulators found no wrongdoing on her part. I think maybe she was just being used by other people in this pump and dump scheme. But it shows you that the SEC is done with cracking down on crypto in any way. I do believe there will be future crackdowns on rug pulls, though. It's like we're transitioning from the wild west into the regulated age of crypto. But regulations aren't here yet. They're still pending. But I could bet right now, going into the future, that pump and dumps will not be tolerated by the SEC. This comes from Mr. Mann. The Securities Clarities Act. This states that just because a digital token is used in an investment deal, it doesn't mean the token itself is a security. Instead, the token should be seen as separate from the investment contract. The bill introduces the term investment contract asset to describe these kinds of tokens and clarifies they are actually commodities, not securities. This means tokens like XRP or XLM wouldn't automatically fall under SEC control. Instead, they'd be treated more like gold or oil, especially if they are not tied to a central company making promises. The bill gives crypto legal recognition and helps set clear rules so developers and users know where they stand. They have to define these cryptocurrencies as what they are. You can't go forward with crypto and every time you turn around have the SEC say, well, in that case, XRP is a security. But in this case over here, it's a commodity. It has to be called a commodity and labeled a commodity so there's no confusion later when all of these institutions start utilizing XRP or XLM on a daily basis inside of transactions or inside of moving value from one place to another. So this act is going to be good for crypto going forward. One by one, every regulation that once held back the crypto industry from mass adoption is being dismantled. This is the path to regulatory clarity. This comes from Smoke. And we see that happening day after day now. Even the FDIC says banks can engage in crypto activities without prior approval. So now the banks all got the green light on crypto. So in that previous video, I talked about how they want you out of crypto. Who is they? It's going to be the institutions. It's going to be the banks. When the demand for XRP is skyrocketing, every single bank is going to want to be holding XRP so that their customers, they could utilize it for their customers to send money from one country to another and so on. Plus that sweet on-demand liquidity. But the institutions, they're going to have liquidity pools. And you're going to see so many different liquidity pools set up for XRP in between companies, in between banks, in between countries, and their CBDCs. That's when they will really want to shake you out of your XRP. That's why it's so important to buy up as much as you can now and then hold on to it and get that passive income. This is Great Kid talking about the SEC versus Ripple lawsuit being an initiation into the big boy club. Take a listen.
Call it corruption. See, I lived in places like Indonesia. We don't call it corruption. We just call it wetness. How wet is this deal? Which means like how much do you have to pay off the top? Keep it. But it's what we call politely in the US, we call it regulatory capture. And so like folks that have gone through, it's like hazing. Once you've been through hazing to get into the fraternity, then now you're going to haze the next generation. Well, you have to go through the same hell I went through. So look, I'm in the tent now, and I could basically, celebrate that, but it's not my nature. I want like lots of people in the tent.
I always said Ripple needed to be vetted in the United States. And the United States, how it works is it's paid to play. If you want to play in the arena, you have to pay the price. And I think that is what happened with the SEC versus Ripple case. This is just funny. You got to hear this.
Well, just remember, under President Biden, Gary Gensler was a dud. He really wanted to fix and control the markets. Under President Trump, Paul Atkins is going to be a stud. It's a genius choice. Here's a man who's committed his life to making sure that capital forms in America. We have to have winners and losers. We have to have success as our dream. To have that, you need to have a regulatory environment that is healthy. Paul Atkins is the man to get that job done. He did a great job yesterday, by the way. The Democrats are losing their minds because they've lost their voters. And a classic example of that, Maria, is the cryptocurrency industry. Under Gensler, he punished the industry. He forced them out of business, basically. Under Atkins and President Trump, we are open for business. Let's have innovation before over-regulation in America. It was a really good day if you believe in freedom.
I thought that clip was great. And Atkins is going to push us forward with innovation and crypto. But I thought it was great when he called Gary Gensler a dud and Atkins a stud. But I want to see how quick Atkins gets things done. First, he has to take his chair at the SEC first, and it seems like they're just delaying it. It's like when the Rippleverse SEC case started. It was all about delay after delay after delay up until now. And hopefully they get Paul Atkins at the SEC sooner than later, so things can finally start to happen. Now, with the price dipping on XRP, people started talking once again about the private ledger. Dark trading pools are private trading venues designed for institutional investors to execute large orders away from public exchanges, minimizing market impact and maintaining confidentiality. In a recent month, the XRP ledger DEX surpassed $400 million in trading volume. So what people are saying is this: the institutions are buying on the private ledger without the public knowing that it's happening. And it's not affecting the price of XRP because it's happening over there and not on the exchanges. And the private ledger absolutely exists. Take a listen to Bank of India.
We are working with Ripple, XRP on their CBDC platform. And we are consulting small countries, not like India. So they are very advanced. We are already into the CBDC platform. We are consulting small countries as one of the advisory paper submission and everything on the CBDC, how they can move to CBDC.
So we see India's CBDC building out on the XRP ledger, but they're doing it on the private ledger. And here's Jazzy Cooper also talking about the private ledger.
For example.
Is this EVM sidechain different from a private sidechain?
Yeah, so with XRP Ledger, there's the ability to create custom sidechains if you wish. And these are just like Ethereum, the EVM sidechain, it is fully distinct from the XRP Ledger. And with that, you can configure the settings as you wish. So I know this is a model that was used in the past for projects like CBDCs, where maybe you want a more permissioned environment or more controlled environment of who can use the chain, but it is entirely distinct from public XRPL mainnet.
So there you have it. We know the private ledger exists, but the price is not different on the private ledger. Now, if institutions are buying on the private ledger, the price may not be reflected in XRP, and XRP would remain cheap both on the private ledger and the public ledger. Now, these banks are still in the testing phase on the private ledger. When they come out of the testing phase and they go live, if there is a set price for XRP, it will be reflected both on the private ledger and the public ledger. Think about it. If you could buy XRP from an exchange and then go over to the private ledger and sell it for thousands of dollars, somebody would have exposed this already. This would have been public knowledge already because of human nature. And I've said that in previous videos. This is not what's affecting the price of XRP or causing the price to dip in any way. If anything, if there's less XRP out there, it should actually do the opposite and push the price even higher. And a lot of people will argue that they're trying to keep the price of XRP down so everybody could onboard. So the banks can onboard, the institutions can onboard, even all the people that want to launch an ETF, they could acquire a pile of XRP as well at very cheap prices. But no matter how you look at this, the end game here is this, a flip of the switch moment. When the banks come out of testing, the flip of the switch will happen. And you just got to still be here when that happens. Implement tariffs, market falls, roll back tariffs, market recovers. That's what we're really watching happen. Whenever the president talks about tariffs, right away, the market plummets down. We've seen it multiple times, especially with Bitcoin, because XRP seems to be holding up better than Bitcoin when tariffs are talked about. I even thought, a couple days ago, I did a video and I said, look, he talked about tariffs and the price really didn't change for the first time. So is the market going to get used to the tariff talk? And the big one's going to be when these tariffs go live on April 2nd. Then we're going to really see how tariffs impact the crypto space. Until then, this is what we're witnessing right now. Sensei says, bull run is over. See you in 4 years. And I said, I agree. A utility run is coming instead. Because that's what I'm witnessing happening. Everything is lining up. Everybody keeps saying, this cycle's different. Why is this cycle so different than all previous cycles? Maybe because the market is adjusting for what is about to happen. Because I think utility is really going to start driving the price of these utility-driven cryptocurrencies. And even regulations, they're going to benefit utility-driven cryptocurrencies more than they're going to benefit Bitcoin or Ethereum. And maybe the market is already preparing for that to happen. Because I even see the Bitcoin maxis, they're just as disgruntled as you are as an XRP holder. They're saying, why is the price of Bitcoin not moving? Why does Bitcoin keep crashing down? And it's easy to see what's going on with Bitcoin because the chart tells the whole story. With XRP, we're just following Bitcoin right now. That's what's really going on with XRP. But maybe the entire market is preparing for something way bigger for these utility-driven cryptocurrencies. And we will find out very soon, because I think Atkins is going to he's going to full steam ahead with those XRP ETFs, because all the institutions want this. Franklin Templeton wants this. Fidelity, they want it. Everybody wants it. So if they want it, Atkins is going to get it done. That's what I see going on. And as soon as they go live, maybe that's when the cycle will change once again. Maybe that's when alt season will fully begin, leading us into a utility run. But until it happens, you gotta stay patient, stay positive, and let's get rich together. With that said, I'm gonna wrap up this video. I want to thank you all for watching. I appreciate all of you. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great night.